That scene there is from 2002. And yes, it is the leader of the NWO, Kevin Nash, tearing his ACL when trying to run across the ring and nail Bubba Ray Dudley. Welcome back, everyone. Chris here again with episode 32 of What Could Have Been in Wrestling. This week, again, like I just said, we're going back to the summer of 2002. And I want to thank JQXZ Network for this suggestion, because we're going to talk about what if Kevin Nash didn't tear his ACL in that Raw, and how that would have affected the SummerSlam that year and the memorable card that we got. So now that you saw that clip, let's get right to it. So the NWO had been in the WWE since February of that year and had undergone quite a roster change from the original 3 members. And at this point, with Shawn Michaels as the main mouthpiece and Kevin Nash as the leader, they were courting their longtime friend and clique buddy, Triple H, to join their faction. As a lead up to it, Shawn Michaels had announced post King of the Ring, after the brief meeting they had where they had a quick reuniting before Triple H's undisputed title match against The Undertaker, that Triple H would be joining the NWO. He said he's good, but he's gonna be better. And he said we're good, but we're gonna be better. And if you remember at this point, Triple H was actually a member of the SmackDown roster, as the brand split had just started a few months back. And the NWO were heels, and Triple H was still in the middle of his initial face run after returning from that ACL injury. So going into that Raw, after they had said that Triple H would be joining the NWO the next week, the NWO came out again. They reminded Triple H that they wanted him to join, and they said they had gotten no response. And Shawn Michaels mocked Triple H, saying he used to be one of the top guys in the industry, but now he comes out, flexes his muscles, and tries to win over and get the appeal of the fans. And they told him, you got 2 weeks. And Shawn Michaels said, either make the best decision of your life or make the last decision of your life. So from there on, Kevin Nash took the microphone, said there was going to be a 10-man tag that night with Eddie and Benoit joining the NWO against the Dudleys, Spike and Bubba Ray, along with Booker T, Goldust, and then just a random 5th man who happened to be RVD. So going back to the clip from earlier, once Kevin Nash gets the hot tag, he gave the big boot, I believe, to Booker T. And then again, when he goes over to start cleaning house on all the baby faces, is when he collapses, grabs his knee, and he tears his ACL, which forced them to have an improvised finish. And again, it totally changed the trajectory of SummerSlam, because Triple H, who had requested to go back to being a heel, made a heel turn a little bit earlier than expected, and we got one of the most memorable SummerSlam matches with Shawn Michaels coming back to wrestle instead of Kevin Nash. So really, the injury was a blessing. In this situation, however, that doesn't happen, and Nash doesn't tear his ACL. With that in mind, post-match, Shawn Michaels gave Triple H one more warning and said, vengeance will be there, and you got to give us your decision. The next week on Raw, Vince had come out after Kevin Nash's injury to the NWO music and declared the NWO era was done. And that was the last time we would hear that music on Raw, which was pretty accurate. So if Nash is still healthy and they're still going forward with courting Triple H over to Raw to join the NWO, quite simply, you can have it where the NWO comes out and not only reminds Triple H that he needs to give them their decision in 6 days at Vengeance, but you can obviously have the old school NWO beatdowns happening, where for one night it's like the WCW's version of the NWO. They are running in on matches, and they're just laying waste, babyface or heel, to all the competitors in the ring, and just leaving everyone laying. And that will be done simply to send Triple H a message and saying, this is your future if you don't want to join us. So make the right decision. After Raw goes off the air, it could be the NWO standing tall over everyone in solidarity doing the Too Sweet click symbol. And then we head to Vengeance. Triple H had made his return then, coming back from his injuries at King of the Ring. And while originally staying on SmackDown and teasing that he was going to work with Stephanie with her as the general manager, Shawn Michaels was the one who came out and convinced Triple H to go over to Raw, as they embraced, and Triple H then chose to go with Raw and the new general manager at the time, Eric Bischoff. I think you can have something very similar happen, but this time the entire NWO comes out to confront Triple H. And at first, it is going to be, a cordial and happy reunion with an embrace maybe between Nash and Hunter. But eventually, Hunter can give Nash's answer and the rest of the NWO his answer and tell him he's not joining the NWO. And while he's got love for those guys, and it makes a lot of sense, he's gone on and become a champion on his own. And he won at WrestleMania on his own. And he's going to get the belt back without the NWO's help. This obviously won't sit well with the entire NWO team, and they would then attack Triple H at Vengeance. Nash could even pull out Triple H's sledgehammer, use that on him, and you can have him even get jackknifed through a table. So Triple H is then left laying at Vengeance rather than joining Raw and making that decision official. I don't think you would want to have Triple H out on the very next Raw after that. Eric Bischoff, who again, like I said, had been named the new general manager, had been courting Triple H over to leave SmackDown. But he can also just declare that due to Triple H's injuries, we still don't have an answer. The NWO can feign sympathy, but then just tell Hunter we were just trying to knock some sense into you because you're not making good decisions. A little bit of time can go by. A week and a half later, at not the next SmackDown, but the SmackDown after, can be Triple H's final appearance there. He can come out all bandaged up, still selling the injuries, and he can tell the NWO, Shawn and Nash in particular, if this is how you want to do it, guess what? I'll be coming to Raw. Because at SummerSlam, he's going to tell Kevin Nash, it's you and me. And it's no holds barred. So from then on, as we go forward and build into SummerSlam, that following Raw, you can have Shawn Michaels and Nash talking about that challenge in the back, considering the challenge was addressed more to them than the NWO. Nash can tell Shawn that he's got this under control, and while he still loves Hunter, and they still consider him a friend, they're going to be doing this for his own good. And going forward after that, you can have it where going into SummerSlam, Triple H is now back as an official member of the Raw roster, much to Eric Bischoff's delight. But Triple H would join under the one condition that that SummerSlam match becomes official, which is what we can get at SummerSlam. So instead of Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement, it is a much less heralded match, I bet, and a match that is nowhere near as memorable with Nash versus Triple H. As the match goes on, Nash is using his size and strength advantage to get the advantage over Triple H, and Triple H is using his quickness and his cunning to at times turn the tables on him. I think it can end with the ref being knocked out and Triple H can actually hit Nash with a low blow. The rest of the NWO can be taken out as they come to the ring, as Triple H wouldn't be above using the sledgehammer. And the only one he wouldn't use it on, he could hit Show with it, considering the Big Show was their enforcer. He probably wouldn't nail Shawn Michaels. I wouldn't have him nail him with the sledgehammer yet, but Shawn would back down from it, as well as X-Pac. And Triple H can then hit the pedigree and be victorious in the match. Now, something else and very important did happen that night as well, and that was a young Brock Lesnar defeating The Rock to become the youngest undisputed champion of all time. And in a memorable match there, Lesnar had been anointed as the next big thing and was also the champion. Now I bring that up because earlier in the summer they had teased a little tension between Lesnar and the rest of the NWO when Lesnar was scheduled to take on Booker T in a King of the Ring qualifying match. Heyman first asked and then demanded that the NWO stay out of that match. And obviously the NWO didn't take too kindly to that. And there was a potential feud teased, even though it was a heel faction versus one of the top heels on Raw. So going into that, I think Triple H can come out the very next night on Raw and trying to put the NWO behind him, he confronts the new champion Lesnar, making his intentions known that he wants a shot at his undisputed title. From there on, the NWO can come out, and at that point, again, Triple H being a face still, Lesnar and him can tease working together momentarily, as I just hinted at that tension that Lesnar had with the NWO earlier in the summer. And right when it looks like they're about to work together to fend off the NWO, Triple H can then attack Brock. And that way, as he attacks him and maybe hits him with a low blow, the rest of the NWO joins in. And now we have Triple H working together with his old clique buddies. And Vince Russo would be proud of this because it would be a swerve after SummerSlam. And it would show that Triple H finally came to his senses and realized to get his title back, it's good to have those guys on his side. And now the heel turn that Triple H had wanted to do is just happening the night after SummerSlam rather than a few weeks before it. And now Triple H is fully indoctrined and is now a full-fledged member of the NWO. So going into this would then put Lesnar de facto in the babyface role. And if you remember that fall, after the Survivor Series, or going into it really, in his match versus the Big Show, Lesnar was positioned as the babyface. So now the babyface turn is happening just a couple months earlier, with Heyman still by his side, and it's happening on Raw. Because I just want to address something, even though the brand split has happened, I don't think in this situation you need to do the two separate titles yet, because now you have Triple H going after the Undisputed title rather than having Eric Bischoff just hand him the World Heavyweight title, which had been done that fall as well. So that moment can be delayed, and instead we have Triple H trying to lay claim as the number one contender with the NWO by his side. He's calling out the undefeated champion. Eric Bischoff can make a ruling and tell Triple H, while he understands that he wants to be champion, there needs to be a number one contenders match established for Unforgiven going into that September, and there'll be a number one contenders match in Unforgiven instead, and he won't get his title match right away because he has to earn it, and that match will be Triple H against Rob Van Dam. Those two did face off at Unforgiven in reality for the World Heavyweight title, but now it's going to be a number one contenders match. The match was pretty solid, but we have to remember this was also during the reign of terror that Triple H was on, and no one was getting anything over on him except for Shawn Michaels. And Triple H did win with the help of Ric Flair. This can have a similar ending. During the match, it looks like RVD hasn't won, but thanks to interference from Shawn Michaels and a distraction from Kevin Nash, you can have it now where the NWO, not the predate to Evolution, but instead the top heel group is still the NWO, helps Triple H win, and after a pedigree, Triple H gets the 3 count and is now the number one contender to Brock's undisputed title. After that, you can have the NWO still singling out Brock to soften him up for the next month's pay-per-view, which would be No Mercy. Now on that night, Lesnar did defeat The Undertaker in a Hell in the Cell match, so that's going to change because again, he's not on SmackDown yet, and instead he's going to face Triple H for the undisputed title. In the time leading up to it, Lesnar can also while he's being targeted by the NWO, he can go out and go after each member individually. He can take out Big Show with a steel chair and make sure that he can even up the odds a little bit. And he can take out Shawn Michaels and X-Pac as well. This would lead Kevin Nash in the corner of Triple H, as all the others were taken out. With Triple H now facing Brock at No Mercy, I don't think it'd be a Hell in the Cell match, but it would be essentially, even though it was now the Ruthless Aggression era, it would be similar to the match he had against Kane, where there was still a lot of weapons involved. That might have been no holds barred, because I know Triple H was chokeslammed through a table, etc. And in a match where the crowd, I think, would be behind Lesnar and not behind the man in charge of the Reign of Terror, Lesnar can obviously be in control of Triple H, and he can be getting the better of Kevin Nash and thwarting off his interference. But at the very end, again, this is the Reign of Terror after all. With the help of the NWO, with the Big Show returning after that beatdown with the chair, Big Show can chokeslam Lesnar onto a chair. Triple H hits the pedigree, and 1, 2, 3, Triple H is now once again the undisputed champion. So No Mercy would probably have a much less memorable ending, rather than Lesnar celebrating on top of Hell in the Cell over a bloodied Undertaker who's in the ring. You would have the NWO, led by Kevin Nash and what seems like now a co-leader in Triple H, capturing the World Heavyweight title. And now it's in the NWO camp. And then going forward into Survivor Series, I think you could still have an Elimination Chamber, but instead of obviously Shawn Michaels in it as a lead babyface, I think the guy who would replace that to wrap up their feud would probably be Brock Lesnar. So that's where I'm going to end it from there. I'm not actually going to go into the build up to the Elimination Chamber. I can do that in a follow-up video and have a course of events that would eventually lead Brock over to SmackDown. And obviously talk about what would happen from the NWO there out. This video, I know, even though it was focused on Nash not tearing his ACL, the focus went on to Triple H, but I already went to the reasons why, and why that time on Raw was not the most fun to watch because of basically it being the Triple H show. Kevin Nash, I think, would have become more of a secondary player to the NWO, as after he returned from the injury, Nash that is, after his feud with Triple H ended, he was released, I think, late after that summer, after SummerSlam of 2003. So there wasn't too much of note that Nash did in his WWE run post-NWO. So really, like I said, Nash tearing his ACL caused a big chain reaction with Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement and us getting that second run of memorable matches that he gave us, which might have been prevented or at least delayed if Kevin Nash stayed healthy. So really, it was a big blessing in disguise because of how SummerSlam and that fall went for the most part. So let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Let me know if you think the injury to Nash was inevitable, so even if he faced Triple H at SummerSlam, would he have possibly torn his ACL there? And also, let me know what you think of Triple H joining the NWO in a heel move to take on Lesnar, and also Triple H being the one to take the belt off Lesnar at No Mercy rather than the Big Show winning it at Survivor Series the very next month. So again, thank you to everyone for your comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate everyone's feedback and all the topics that are being suggested. And I'll be back again soon with another episode of What Could Have Been in Wrestling, and with more of the match analysis series. Take care, everyone.